Stay tuned and let's check out this Marvel Legends Uncanny X-Men 3-pack with Gambit, Banshee and Psylocke. Hello and welcome back to the channel, Dan Who Reviews. As always, my name is Dan W. Make sure you are following me on Instagram at It's Dan Who. And remember now you can hit that join button and become a channel member as well. Either show some love or join the members club. Much appreciated. Today we are taking a look at this Marvel Legends X-Men 60th anniversary 3-pack with Gambit, Banshee and Psylocke. And of course these figures pay tribute to that iconic Uncanny X-Men 275 front cover where the whole team are in their matching yellow and blue uniforms just before they start their cosmic adventure. And if you have been paying attention, then of course we have the other characters to complete that team already. Go and check out the review for Storm, Forge and Jubilee, and at the end of last year we also got Wolverine as part of the X-Men retro wave. So if you buy all three of those sets, then you will have all of the X-Men in the matching uniforms from that iconic front cover, which is also in the background of these digital renders here. But the highlight of this 3-pack for me has got to be Banshee, as we haven't had him in the Legends line since 2006 during the sort of dark days of Marvel Legends and the Annihilation Build-A-Figure wave. So definitely a character that I've been needing for my collection, and I'm never mad to get another Gambit or Psylocke. So there we have the digital renders on the front, X-Men logo, the 60 years celebration up top. On the back, some more digital renders with the accessories we get with each figure. But without further ado, let's get them open. Here we have Gambit, Banshee and Psylocke out of the packaging with all of their accessories, and it is nice to see that each of them do come with a few accessories to at least give us some posing options for the display. And talking of displays, I know a lot of people are just curious to see what this whole Uncanny X-Men team look like displayed together. If that's the case, then scroll along until the end of the video, as I have no doubts I will show you that. But I do want to take some time to look at these figures individually and especially compare the head sculpts of Gambit and Psylocke to the previous versions to see if we can do any head swaps. So let's do exactly that, and let's start off with the Cajun sensation, Gambit. Zooming in to take a closer look at Gambit, it is a brand new head sculpt, and it's also the first Gambit head to utilise the digital face printing tech, and for me it makes all the difference. I like the red beady eyes underneath that frown, and it just has a little bit more realism there, and definitely more my mind's eye with the new hair sculpt sweeping to one side. But just doing a quick spin around, you can see the new hair sculpt done in that sort of brown, really nice. You've got the black mask that continues on the neck as well, and then it's broken up with this collar which is done in a yellow separate piece there, but you can bring that down to break it up very nicely. And overall, just a much nicer Gambit head sculpt. And I'll prove my point when I do some comparisons with some previous versions of Gambit. First up, we have the Caliban Wave Gambit, and again, comparing the two, there is only one winner, digital face printing tech all day long. And then we have the retro carded version as well. That did change up the hair, but the tones are a little bit lighter. And again, for me, there is only one winner. But I will do some head swaps very shortly. Taking a look at the rest of Gambit here, nothing crazily new. We have already seen this body with Forge. It's sort of an amalgamation of the new Vulcan body. So it is double jointed and pinless on the elbows and on the knees. And it's got the nice butterfly joint as well. So double jointed elbows, but hindered a little bit by the thick yellow gloves. You've got the decent butterfly joint, no complaints there. Head is on a disc and hinge, so we can bury the chin, all that. Decent ab crunch as well, forward and back. Waist swivel is hidden by the belt, which is a separate piece. Also nicely hidden in the design is the thigh swivel with the yellow straps there, so they're not going to fall down. Very nice. Same as the boot cut there as well. That's got a swivel and then an ankle pivot rocker. So all the articulation you would expect for a sort of standard Marvel Legend. No complaints on that. The hand has a sort of gesturing hand and a grip hand, and they are used for his accessories. So first up we have a sort of translucent pink card, which you can see the sort of heart logo on there as well. And we have seen these with all of the previous versions of Gambit. All of them have just been decoed a little bit differently, but that sort of fits in the sort of slot of the fingers, and he does grip it pretty well, to be fair. But yeah, definitely decent for posing up Gambit for your card tricks. He also has an interchangeable hand, and again, we've seen this before. It's more a gesturing, throwing card hand, and you can see the deco of the club, the diamond, and the spade on there as well. And it seems like the whole hand was done in a translucent pink, and then the glove was just painted yellow to match, but it definitely works for posing. His last interchangeable hand is another left hand. All the interchangeable hands are left-handed. The right hand is always a grip, but this does allow him to hold the bow staff and get him in some nice poses. It also has the up and down hinge as well, so it works much nicer. But that isn't all. His last accessory, maybe his most important accessory, is his man bag. I am only joking, of course, but he does need somewhere to carry all those cards, so it sort of makes sense. It's done in a brown with a few sort of punches of silver in there just for the buckle and for the metal elements, and it does break up the design of the yellow and blue and make him a little bit more interesting to look at as well, especially when you get him holding one of his cards. So overall, there's Gambit. Here we have our modern day Gambit comparison, as we have the Caliban Build-A-Figure Wave and the retro version, which were basically the same, slightly redecoed with a tweak to the head sculpts as well. But I do think, as I said, this new head sculpt on the Uncanny X-Men version is better. But my mind's eye of Gambit will always be this sort of more darker tones. Now, obviously, this is limited in articulation compared to sort of what we can do currently, but it's still a decent looking Marvel Legends. So let me try a head swap, and would you look at that? The head pops on there, no problem at all. And because he's wearing his black mask and you don't really have any skin tone around the neck, it works perfectly. And it just instantly makes this figure even better just by doing a head swap. So yeah, I really like how this looks for this Gambit. Uncanny X-Men head on the Caliban Wave figure. It will also pop on the retro version, but the retro version has more of a blue tone to the suit, so the black mask doesn't match the neck, and also it's very loose on the head sculpt, but you have your options. Moving on to Psylocke, she does come with some effect pieces and some interchangeable hands, and much like Gambit reusing the forged body, Psylocke is reusing the same body that Storm is on. So we've already seen this. It's double jointed, it's pinless, it's really nice, but let's zoom in and check out this new head sculpt. Now I'm hoping my lights actually do this head sculpt justice, because in person it is gorgeous and undoubtedly the best head sculpt we have for Psylocke. Obviously the purple hair now is much more accurate compared to previous versions we've got. She's even got a little hint of purple eyeshadow in there as well, with the red lips, a little bit of rosy cheeks as well, it seems. But overall I really do like it. The hair is sort of a ponytail that goes down the front, sort of sweeps to one side, and it's still like black hair with a purple wash, to be honest. There's definitely a mix of tones in there with black and purple, but a very, very nice head sculpt, especially when you can compare it to some previous versions. We have the Apocalypse version, the variant version with the actual purple hair there, and as you can see, no comparison comparing it to the digital face printing tech. And then we have the X-Force box set version that came in a 3-pack, and again, just not quite right when comparing the two. At least for me, in my opinion, I do prefer this new Uncanny X-Men Psylocke. Looking at the rest of the figure, as I've already said, it's what we've seen with Storm. She's got the double jointed, pinless elbows, which are beautiful, bicep swivel. You've got good range on the legs as well. No swivel on the actual cut though, it's up there, so it's not hidden within the design, but you do have double jointed, pinless knees, and she can kick her own butt. No boot swivel, ankle pivot and rocker though. Limited on the waist, so I would say, as all the articulation is up here at the diaphragm joint, where you can sort of get a little bit of swivel up there, and then not so much forward but more back. So yeah, females unfortunately still a little bit limiting, but it's still much nicer than many female bodies we've got in the past. So there we go. In regards to accessories, she comes with a few. First up, we have her psychic dagger, which is just a piece that you sort of wrap on over the wrist, and then we have had this with all our other Psylocks as well. And then we also have her sword, which is done in a purple plastic, and then it has this sort of energy effect that wraps around it, so you can take that off if you wanted to, and it just gives you the purple sword done in that translucent purple to match. So it does give her that sort of pop of colour, and it's a nice sort of contrast against her purple hair as well. But I can't remember her using her sword as much in the Uncanny X-Men run, but it is sort of synonymous with Psylocke anyway, so not mad about it. Of course, that bout is a separate piece. I've said already the head is on a disc and hinge, and the hair does limit it a little bit, but not too much actually, to be fair. So yeah, still some decent range there. So posing options for that, and we also get a set of, well, I lied, we didn't get a set of anything, but we do get an interchangeable fisted hand and then a karate chop or waving hand as well, whatever you prefer. And this Psylocke doesn't come with one, but if you did want to put one of the butterfly sort of pieces from the other figures onto the face, you can sort of make it work. It's just very, very loose, but it definitely still works. Here we have a quick Psylocke comparison, and both of these are actually from the Apocalypse Build-A-Figure wave. Now, it gets a little bit confusing. If you go far back enough, I actually did a video about it on my channel, but there was a running change in that Apocalypse Build-A-Figure wave that actually gave us the corrected purple hair. So I actually did a head swap on these figures to give me my more desired look for Psylocke, as one of them has more of a shimmery, sort of metallic sort of outfit compared to the flatter blue. So I actually preferred the flatter blue with the purple hair, but originally that purple hair was on more of the metallic version. Again, very confusing. We don't really often get running changes in Marvel Legends, but again, go back further enough on the channel and you'll find my explanation. But we do have one other version of Psylocke I can bring in, and that is of course the X-Force 3-pack version. So there you go. Options for Psylocke, and as you can see, they all come with the same accessories, just slightly different variations of pink and purple. I did at least try a head swap for Psylocke, as I do prefer this head, but it doesn't really work on this body. You can sort of make it work, but it sits a little bit low on the neck, and also the skin tones don't match up, but definitely a nicer head sculpt. I also put this head on that body, and again, doesn't really work. I don't really like that head sculpt on this body. The neck doesn't really match up. It's too high on the neck. The skin tones don't match, and yeah, it just doesn't work. But I did try, and thank you for sticking with me, because I think I've saved the best till last, as ladies and gentlemen, we have Sean Cassidy, aka Banshee, and thank God he came with an interchangeable screaming head, otherwise we would have rioted, as his daughter definitely didn't. But before we look at that, let me just have I just have to see this sort of wingspan. There we go, look at that. This guy is going to look so good on a flight stand. But as I said, before we sort of investigate how all that works, let's check out that new head sculpt. First up, let's take a look at this more stoic head sculpt with that glorious orange fiery hair and sideburns. I do really appreciate the option between the two heads as well. He's an Irish mutant, of course. There's those big sideburns. It has got a little bit of colour in the hair as well, a little bit of yellow and orange, it seems. Definitely a few different shades in there, making that sculpt popped, with a much nicer head sculpt with that sort of flick of the quiff as well. So that is the stoic head sculpt with the digital face printing tech. Really nice. We do of course get the screaming head sculpt, and this isn't just a different facial expression with the same hair. This is a completely unique head sculpt to represent his abilities. Of course, he is called Banshee after all. So of course you have the same orange hair with the few different shades in it, but this time no sideburns, and the hair is sort of flicking out backwards. So he's definitely in a more of a flight pose here, with the big open mouth, and you can see his tongue and his teeth, and even the creases on his face as he's straining to scream. But yeah, overall a really, really nice head sculpt. Again, unique hair, and yeah, that fiery red head, of course. So when you compare the two, you can either have the stoic head sculpt with the sideburns, or his screaming head sculpt as well, getting him up on a flight stand, a lot more dynamic for posing. And yeah, I really do appreciate the option. It's exactly how we should have got Siren. So let's keep the screaming head on as we check out the rest of this figure. Now, it is built on the base Vulcan body, as we do have the double jointed pinless elbows and the double jointed pinless knees. He also has the same articulation with the thigh swivel hidden within the design with the strap. You've still got the boot swivel, you've still got the ab crunch, bicep swivel, you've got a butterfly joint, but added to the sculpt this time, we do have the collar on the neck, which is unique for Banshee. And of course, if you couldn't tell, you also have this big fabric sort of cape sort of design that is of course iconic to the comics. Now from the front, it's actually quite hidden the way that they have attached it onto the body, but on the back you can see they've done it by adding tabs. Now you have a tab attached to the glove, one above the belt, which actually is plugged into the waist, and then one attached to the top of the boot strap as well. So you get 6 tabs, which are symmetrical on either side, which hold it from the back. Now on the back, it's no design. All the design, the black, is on the front, and it's the same flimsy material that you have got with any Storm Marvel Legend. So if you have a Storm Marvel Legend, you know exactly what to expect with this material. Now they have got the arms going up here, but I don't want to stretch it much further past past 90 because I don't want to risk ripping the material. As I said, it is quite flimsy, but from the front, you can't deny it does look like the Banshee character design, and with the sort of articulation on the ab crunch there, you can bend it backwards, you can get the head, it's on a disc and hinge, so you're going to be able to get him in some decent flying poses. And again, you need him screaming down at the floor as well, you can make that happen. So yeah, I don't think this is bad at all. And again, from the back, a little bit jarring with all the pegs sticking out of him, but from the front, it's quite hidden, so I'm not mad at it at all. And again, when he's in a more neutral pose as well, it still looks pretty good and still looks like Banshee. And again, I guess you could sort of pull them through the arms a little bit and make them stick out at the back or whatever you wanted to do. But yeah, overall, I think they've done a pretty good job here. The belt's a separate piece, as we know. And yeah, completely pinless Marvel Legend, but with these fabric pieces, is going to look great on a flight stand. So before we do that, let's check out, he does have an interchangeable set of hands, so he comes out of the box with some fisted hands, and there you go, he has a set of sort of open palm, much more expressive hands. And yeah, all in all, really liking this Banshee here. And Banshee is one of the characters from this sort of Uncanny run that continues wearing this outfit even after that initial run in the comics. So this Banshee will definitely fit in other places in the collection as well. So I do think he's going to be very sought after. And considering we haven't had a Banshee in a long time, then yeah, this is definitely going to be one people want to get their hands on. And yeah, double jointed pinless elbows and knees. So he's still got all the range you want. And yeah, let's try this guy on a flight stand, because look how good he looks standing there. As expected, he looks great, and with the wingspan, it definitely sort of draws your attention and will make him more of a display piece when you put him in your collection for sure. And again, I've just plugged him into a flight stand, sort of just gripping him to the back there, as you can see, and that's just him vertically, but I guess I could maybe get him in a more horizontal pose as well. And there you go, this time the flight stand sort of gripping him from the front, and then you really utilize the butterfly joints there to get his arms back. And yeah, overall, as I said, this is going to be a centerpiece to an X-Men display for sure. He is going to stand out and pop on the display. Really impressed with how this Banshee came out. Now we just need this exact figure in the green and yellow. Now, in regards to comparisons, I don't have that previous Banshee Marvel Legend. Anyone will tell you it wasn't a great figure, so that is long gone, and I'm very happy to have this update. However, I would like to have Banshee in his more iconic green and yellow in the future to pair up with his daughter here, Siren, who we recently got, who's a nice Marvel Legend, but we never got the screaming head and her hair's all flowing like she is in the sky. So again, we wasn't too happy with that, but hopefully there's opportunity for another re-release in the future where we get the Siren screaming head and then we get Banshee in the green and yellow. Next up here we have Banshee compared to the other two fellas from this Uncanny X-Men set that are all sort of built on the same Vulcan base body. So they're all double jointed and pinless and have butterfly joints. Obviously Forge has that one damn pin in his leg, but otherwise that's just a running joke at this point. And obviously Banshee has the collar, but otherwise they're all sort of in uniform, all matched together undoubtedly. And here we have that exact same Uncanny X-Men comparison, but this time with the ladies, with Jubilee, Psylocke and Storm. And remember, Storm and Psylocke are on the exact same body, double jointed, pinless, but Jubilee is on a more accurate, slightly shorter body, but that does unfortunately mean she's only got the single jointed elbows, but still pinless. But anyway, that is what we've got. Let's put them together. And would you look at that? Instantly posing these Uncanny X-Men together makes them all just look so much more appealing. Honestly, so good. But of course, there is a little gap. So let me bring him in. The very first X-Men we got in this uniform recently, it is Wolverine. Let me move Storm to the side, and there we have it, all 7 of the Uncanny X-Men from that iconic Uncanny X-Men 275 front cover from the page into plastic. And what a representation this is. Some of the best head sculpts we have gotten for some of these characters on brand new pinless bodies with the double jointed pinless female elbows. Overall, just these posed together instantly makes them all look better, with some nice range of accessories as well for each of them. Posing options, honestly, I know I'm gushing, but in hand, in person, when you put these together on a display, you do not regret your purchase. Trust me, wherever you put these on an X-Men display, they're going to pop. All the scales match up, and this is just them standing there all boring, and it still looks like a great display. So let me try a more dynamic setup. And I hope that proves my point, because I'm not even the guy you go to for posing action figures, but look how good these guys look together. An instant display just by having these 7 X-Men figures all in the matching yellow and blue uniforms. As I said, completely pinless. They've all got some nice accessories so you can pose them up with their abilities, and yeah, an instant display, people. If you're an Uncanny X-Men fan, do not sleep on these figures. They look so good. And just to wrap up on a few random comparisons, here we have some X-Men who weren't in these Uncanny X-Men uniforms. Here we have Cyclops and Beast. Here we have the 80s Cap and the Mark 70 Iron Man, but I can switch him out for the Renew Your Vows Spider-Man. And then here we have Frogman, Tigra and White Rabbit. And then last but never least, here we have Captain Britain and Hal Fire Hank. So, final thoughts on this Marvel Legends X-Men 60th Anniversary 3-pack with Gambit, Banshee and Psylocke. It is so good to have this team complete now, to recreate that iconic Uncanny X-Men cover from page to plastic. They look so good together. I've said it enough, I've said it already, so I'm going to shut up and you can tell me what you think in the comment below. Are you in on this team? Are you getting it through your display? Or are you picking and choosing? Because as I said, Banshee in this set is definitely fair game to put in different places, as he wore this uniform a little bit longer than everybody else. And it's a great update to a character that we desperately needed in the collection. So you let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you like Marvel Legends, then well, you're in the right place. Check out the videos tab, find the playlists, but most importantly, please hit that subscribe button, hit all on the notification bell, don't miss out on a video, and please hit that join button, become a channel member, either show some love or join the members club. Much appreciated. Until then, people, you can follow me on Instagram at It's Dan Who. I'm on Twitter, don't be shy, tweet me at Dan Who Reviews, and I will of course see you on the next one.